What's up, everybody? I'm Brandman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
And we're back with another episode of No Labels Necessary podcast. And today we have very special guests, the co-founders of EVA, an amazing platform that helps artists make money. And I mean, really make money, get to the money. But we'll get into the details really soon. But the co-founders, Channing, Mackenzie, it's so great to be able to speak with you all. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
We're
excited to be here.
Let's get straight into it, just so artists instantly know why it's so much value to listen to everything else that we're going to talk about. Can y'all explain the platform EVA?
Yes. So EVA today, and I know we'll go back, but we'll say what we are today. We're a marketplace platform that connects entertainers of all kinds with high-paying corporate and private event opportunities. So far to date, we've put $6 million in entertainers' pockets with all kinds of corporate events that we can chat about. But we help them find the gigs in the cities that they're in.
Nice. So, and about that, right? Instantly, I know artists are going to ask stuff like, do I have to have a lot of followers to be on this platform? All right. Do I need to be signed to be on this platform? What do you say to that?
No, you don't have to have either. We don't have like a minimum follower count or that you have to work with a manager or agent. If you have any representation, we can work with them. That's totally fine. But the majority of the artists we work with are self-represented, don't have an agent or a manager, and this isn't just another tool that they can use to get more gigs. So we are happy to help really work with people who are just getting started in their career.
Beautiful. And for artists who don't quite understand the explanation, I'll just try to simplify. So I'm an artist. I go to this website, right? And there's people on this website who are looking for artists to pay artists, right? Because they want an artist for a specific type of show. If you worked at any corporations, a lot of times there might be a Christmas party or any type of event that they might be throwing where you want to have an artist or entertainment present. And corporate companies have budgets, right?
Yes, they do. And
very different. Yeah.
We originally got started on college campuses. We started the company almost 10 years ago when we were in college ourselves. And that was great. It was great for us to really find events for entertainers to grow in those kinds of opportunities. But just like you said, it was the budgets really that had us switching to corporate. They pay 4 to 10x more than what the bar gig is going to pay. And so that can really help sustain or provide a sustainable income stream for an entertainer.
So what were the first steps in kind of making this happen? I know you guys said you were in college when this idea kind of came about, but like, were one of you in the corporate world and you saw like a space there for music artists? Where one of you like an artist that got frustrated with trying to get these events? Like, what's the story about how that kind of tied into everything?
Yeah, so we went to Belmont University in Nashville, which is primarily a music school. A lot of our friends were artists or songwriters and just getting started in their music career. So we were just a little bit more organized than they were, honestly. That was our start, is helping our friends get booked around town in Nashville, even just at like a pizza place. Like it was not even real venues a lot of the time early on, but we could work out some type of deal that, hey, like you will get paid something. That was always our thing, is that musicians should be paid no matter what. They're providing a service. So we did that throughout college. And then we got our first corporate client maybe about a year after we graduated. Just kind of lucky, honestly. We happened to meet and they came to us looking for entertainment for their corporate event. That person is now our head of biz dev. Fortunately, we many years later ended up hiring them, our first ever corporate client. His name's Aaron. But yeah, that's where we really found that, there's a whole other world of events looking for really good talent and music, especially when they're coming to visit a city that they're not based in. They want that local musician to come and perform for them, and they didn't know where to find it and where to look.
This is dope. This reminds me of a comedian. So I don't even know her name right now, but I was watching a different comedian and he was talking about comedians that you don't know, but they make a lot of money from corporate events. And he was like, one of his friends who was a comedian, again, you wouldn't know her, but she does like $5 million a year just being a comedian, going around to corporate events. And that was the first time it connected, because I had worked in corporate for a short period of time before I moved in music. And I remember different characters, whether it was a motivational speaker or a comedian or an artist, etc., being there. But I never thought about somebody being able to treat that like a full track, like, hey, not just this one off. There's a whole bunch of these types of companies that do things like this. So are y'all at the point where y'all have had some artists kind of make it like a full-time thing, where this is almost their focus, even more so than the bars or more so than streaming?
Yes, we have some, and just like you said, it's a nice blend. The entertainer, depending on what they want their career to look like, they can really choose how much is corporate a part of it, or is it my full time. We do have some entertainers that we're booking multiple times a month. We have some entertainers saying, I bought my house because of EVA, which is so cool. And obviously there's lots of ways and lots of different types of events out there. So that's what we love. A big reason why we started was because we felt like even like 10 years ago, kind of the mentality of corporate events was, oh, like I just have to play covers, or I just have to be in a party band and I have to do something that's kind of cringe to do it. But what's been so cool to see is more and more employers, they're wanting to see a really authentic, like Mackenzie said, if they're coming to a city, they're like, I want what's authentic to this city. I want an original act. I want to hear the music. I want to really support that. So that's been cool too, is we've been able to book more and more original acts. There's always going to be a space in place for the party band, so to say, or the, corporate friendly comedian, but it's nice to see a blend more than ever.
Nice. Remember like a year ago, I don't even know if we can say his name because he never talked about it. But it was an artist that we talked to right before he blew up really big. Y'all would probably know who he is. And he had got hired by some startup CEO to do an event. He wouldn't reveal how much he got paid, but he made it seem like it was a lot. And they just happened to be a fan. And that was the first time I really kind of got a sense that an artist could be originals at their own shows as well, which is really cool. But thinking about and remembering that he was doing it for a startup, I think there's a certain mentality that we might think of when we think of corporate. Is there a certain size of companies? Like when you say corporate, can you walk through like what does that experience really look like in terms of who they might be working with in terms of opportunities on your platform?
I think that is why we bring so much value, is because there's so many different sized companies, different industries, different titles of people that we're dealing with that are doing the booking. It's all over the place. This is very inconsistent. Even our recurring clients, like we can work with a private event planning company, or we can work with somebody in HR at a major corporation or in marketing. So depending on the type of event, it'll totally vary, which is why I think it's hard to start getting these bookings without any resources. And you would just have to know somebody. Like that's the only way you can kind of get booked with corporate, or maybe if you have an agent that focuses on that. But we have seen time and time again, it is always somebody different, or a lot of times it's their first time booking music too. So the person who's booking doesn't know anything about sound, doesn't know anything about what the space is and where music should go. So a lot of what we do is educate clients too on what is going to work well, not just the booking process and helping them find the right artist.
Yeah. And like you were saying, I mean, we're seeing more and more startups. I mean, there's new money coming into corporate. Startup founders are getting that Series C. They're wanting to have a different kind of event than maybe a large Fortune 500. So it's cool too to see the different kinds of buyers now that are popping up in the space.
Speaking of cool, like you're saying different types of events, I feel like a lot of startups definitely want to seem cool. And music is an easy way to seem cool, right?
I agree. I think a lot of founders, especially, they're like, this is going to appeal to my younger employees. They're going to think this is really hip and cool, even if they don't know who it is they're booking. So we do see that a lot. Or they'll come to us and be like, who is cool? Tell me who I should book. And we'll kind of guide them in the right direction.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So to that point, then obviously you don't have to have a bunch of followers and streams necessarily to get any gigs on the platform, or just in general. But are there cases where you have noticed that it still does help for people to see, hey, you are a legitimate artist, someone who's like pursuing a career, you release music, not just, hey, I have nothing out and I can't find a website or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there still is a standard of somebody that we will book. Certainly we can't really help anybody that's never played live before. You do have to have some experience performing. And then I would say the next level of being really good at corporate and private events is being professional. Like, you can be an awesome artist and a musician, sound really great, but also showing up on time is a big part of it. Knowing what not to say on stage at a corporate event, just kind of being personable with the CEO. Those things go a really long way too. That isn't always natural to every artist. So we kind of help new artists learn what those expectations might be as well.
I would love to go deeper in that, because I don't think artists get to hear enough from the booking agent side of what people are looking for, especially beyond, hey, here's just some major act who has a name. Like when you talked about what not to say on stage, I instantly thought back to
The Baby.
Who?
I thought you think about
no, not the baby. Although he did say some stuff on stage that was pretty crazy. I was actually thinking more recent, so I don't even think I told you about this, but my god brother's wedding, which I was the best man at just a few months ago, the comedian he went off into he wasn't a comedian, he was a DJ, but he thought he was a comedian. And he started going off, and the bride was not liking it. It was just went off left really, really quick. Really, really crazy jokes. But that kind of thing, right, is a meaningful thing that you might not think to vet for. If you're like a newbie or an artist, you might not even think that people care about those things. You just think, hey, this is my time. But especially on a platform and the type of people y'all are serving, it's not quite the same as this is your show and you're bringing your fans out, right?
Exactly. Something that we really walk our entertainers through is, and this is no slight, I mean, we're here to make you some really good money, and we want to make this something that can continue for you. But this isn't your ticketed show. You are here on behalf of the person that booked you. And we have to, walk through that carefully, but it's like the second someone gets a mic at a private event, you are representing that end client. And so that end client takes it very seriously of who is essentially becoming the host or MC of their event that they've put all this money and time into and have all these attendees at. So really being able to read the room, how you are on and off the stage really counts. And clearly that DJ wasn't reading the room with the bride.
Not at all. That was a suppressed memory until y'all just triggered that. It was crazy. So beyond that, when y'all say the standard, obviously in terms of professional behavior, of course, there's an understanding, and you guys have your list and your onboarding there. But are there any like general ideas where I could say, because I got to a certain amount of followers, or because I have recorded footage, just if I say I performed before, do I have to say, does it have to be recorded? Is there something where you could just from a glance look at my profile and say you're ready or not? Obviously.
Yep. I will say live footage does a lot better for our clients, because that's the closest thing they will get to knowing what your performance is going to be, over a music video or just a pre-recorded song or video, in a private space. Anything that you can see kind of an audience reaction or see how that artist is on stage is going to go a really long way. And then same thing with photos, just good quality photo and video is really helpful. Just makes it look like you've put this together and taken a lot of time and effort into putting this appearance forward. And then I think too, followers, views, plays, those numbers can be used to sell. I think a lot of times we will use those to somebody that has never heard of this artist before and is like, I just want something cool. We can use those numbers to kind of display like, okay, this is somebody that has this many listens on Spotify. So this kind of gives you an idea of how popular they are. So we will use those, and it is kind of helpful, especially when you're booking someone you may not have really heard of before.
Yeah, and a couple really tactical things we recommend if this is helpful for your listeners is, so everyone is so used to when shooting for socials to do vertical, but when you're doing a performance video, go horizontal. It just makes it instantly look more high quality and gives a bigger frame rate that people can see better, these potential buyers. Also too, if being able for a rider, we do a very simplified rider, access to parking, water, and then parking, water, access to power. That's what I was trying to say. We try to keep it really simple for those acts that are still building, really their repertoire, just to make it like a no-brainer booking. And then also too, just like really being respectful and just having a great personality, showing up energetic, like that goes so far. So we try to really lay those things out too to help our entertainers.
Have any artists ever expressed maybe like being intimidated by the idea of doing this type of experience or platform?
Yeah, I think corporate and private events are not for everybody, to be honest. It's great when you're just getting started because it is good money, but you're not really probably going to get a ton of fans at these events. You're not going to get a bunch of followers after. I mean, I won't say that's never happened, but a lot of times too, the music may not even be the main part of this corporate and private event. It might be an awards gala, and you're like over here on the side, or you're in between awards or in between the dinner. So there's usually a lot of other things going on. And some people are not interested in not being the main part of the event and being the one on the stage that everyone is focusing on. So if that's something that you're not comfortable with either, might not be for you. But you're getting paid a lot. So yeah, that's usually kind of why it's worth it.
Yeah, I would imagine too. Like I know we kind of talked about how the following and the streams don't matter in this world, but I will always almost think it might be an advantage to have an artist in this situation who hasn't built a crazy career because you don't have to deal with that side of things, right? Because even I think from our side of it, I do think that the climate is kind of changing. It feels like artists are starting to become more aware of these events, more open to it. But thinking about artists of like yesteryear who I will, see get these opportunities and turn it down, it always came back to, I don't want this to affect my musical image, right? I don't want my fans who just saw me perform at this festival in New York to see that I did this corporate event in Idaho or something like that. And I could imagine in a world where the client doesn't care as much about that, right? And like you said, you guys don't care as much about that. What would be the advantage in this situation of even booking an artist with a following that might come with those issues over the artist that could perform just as well, has music quality that's just as high, and is going to come with all that baggage? I would think they're in more of an advantageous spot in this situation.
Yes, I love that thought, because we do see it's just so much easier and also a lot less red tape to go through. And like you said, a lot less baggage. What we'll see is, really that act that's like coming up, like that's such a sweet spot. They have traction, they have experience, but it's really turnkey to book them. That's amazing. Now, why some of these clients will also want to book more of that, what is called name act, is really to draw attendees, I think, to buy tickets or to come to the event. So they'll really utilize it as a marketing play. But 9 out of 10 times, we're working with independent acts that are just really hustling and making a great, career. And it's helping either offset their tour costs, because that's getting more and more expensive, or it's just a great thing while they're home. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Tends to be a much easier play.
Yeah, I love that, because artists, to be able to make money doing the thing that you do, even if it's not your original, but obviously it can be your original sometimes. I think that's beautiful. And we are also getting to an age where even fans have more of an understanding that just because you have this going on, you might not be Taylor Swift yet. You know what I mean? So you have a regular life to maintain. So I think there's going to be a lot less pressure on artists to feel like they have to uphold that, because a lot of times it's rooted in just them feeling judged and their image and less, even if they actually need the money. But I love that you guys provide this opportunity. To me, you know, when I first was, you know, informed about it, I thought it was genius, because very few people touch this space, right? Especially in this way. It could use evolution, right? And the fact that it's, you know, companies on this side that are organized, the more organized side of the music industry, but it's also offering a great solution to people who really need the finance. At the same time, you know, I could only imagine you guys have made artists $6 million, but that numbers are going to get higher and higher.
Yeah, they really do. They are very different, as you can imagine. Like a corporation and an up and coming artist honestly speak different languages. And so I think that's why a platform is a good place that's worked well, because a lot of times an up and coming artist is like, what do I charge for this? Like, what? I don't know. Like, I want to make money, but am I undercutting this? Whereas a corporation is like, we have a huge budget. Is this enough? And we're like, that's plenty. So let's find a nice middle ground here where you get to make more than you've ever made and you're still under budget. So I think having a platform where the corporation has to put their budget first and has to put what their expectations are out there. So then the artist can be like, oh, okay, cool. Now I can price myself according to what it is that they're expecting of me, and I kind of have an idea of what they're already looking to spend.
Is there any insight you could give to an artist that is new in their space trying to figure out what their price would be? Because you guys touched on it earlier, right? Like the music industry or the typical players in the industry do value and judge artists differently than, to your point, like these kind of corporate people are. So what advice are you giving to your clients when they're trying to set their initial rates and figure out where their sweet spot is?
That's a great question. And just also too, we believe in having a baseline minimum that no act will ever make under $400 at an EVA event. So if you're like a solo, even if you are coming to sing a national anthem, like for 5 minutes, that's what, yep, one song, that's what you will make, because it's your time, you're getting there, you're traveling there. But typically if you're a solo musician performing for a couple of hours, we tend to recommend, when you're first getting started out, just to really price for what you need. And, you know, we also include travel in that if you are having to travel a bit. But like baseline is anywhere from like 750 to like 1250 or 1500 if you're really just getting started. And then if you're a duo or trio, that goes up accordingly. Maybe like 2,500 to 3,000 is a nice sweet spot. Typically full band tends to be 4,500 to 6,000. But as you can see, it can just go up. And then once you really start building more experience, you can up your prices, getting more and more testimonials, but those tend to be good sweet spots. What would you say, Ken? That's what I've typically found.
Yeah, definitely for folks just getting started. And sometimes the reason it varies so much is because sometimes an event planning client has super specific needs. They're like, we want you to play this type of music for the first 30 minutes, and then you're actually going to move everything to this new room, and you have to bring all of your sound. And then we want a saxophone player to come in, like like they might be that specific to where you're like, okay, I'm fully customizing a set for you. I can charge more for that. Or things
Definitely.
like sound, I can charge more for that. But if it's like a pretty plug and play, you're just getting to play either, if you're a cover artist, you're playing covers or originals, something that you're used to doing all the time. That's what I would say as far as pricing when you're just getting started.
That's a great point too. We have seen a ton of artists making a good amount more just by coming what is called self-contained. So if they're willing to oversee their own PA for within reason, like if it's for a room of a couple hundred people and you can oversee your own production, you can easily tack on, you know, another, you know, oh, I'll provide sound for $750 and you just make that investment once. Also lighting packages, we see entertainers try and come as much self-contained. So that's a good point. They make a lot more money that way too.
So what about, you know, I won't speak for all artists, but I know prior to learning about you guys and just kind of thinking about the conversations I had about corporate events before, it seems like the draw for a lot of artists is like, oh, I want the Coke Christmas party that pays $100K, or I want the, you know, the Nike, I don't know, ceremony that's paying $50K. What is the pathway to those type of events look like for artists? Is it just, you know, building a reputation within the corporate world, having people in that space just speak highly of you and you eventually get that? Is it luck? Is it good timing? Like, how do those type of deals and situations typically come about from you guys' end?
One thing I would throw out there is actually we love to have a focus industry area for an entertainer. Like if they, and I'm just using Nike for example, if they're like, I really want to be associated with that kind of brand or organization, how can you implement that in other ways in your set or your social media, or who can you be connecting with at that company? So we have some, you know, that they have like custom made, but then like graffitied Nikes that they wear every single time. So like, that's a great way to just like immerse yourself in that brand. That's the kind of vibe you want to put out. Awesome. And that makes it really clear for us and our sales team, like, hey, when a Nike opportunity comes up, we're hitting up this artist. Also, what's really cool too, is by putting yourself in rooms like that, like let's say you get asked to perform for another shoe brand or another kind of engagement, the people in that room are going to see you, and the amount of referrals that happen for bookings, if they saw you at this event, they want you at the next event. So it kind of just really snowballs from there. So we would say like having actually a focus on an industry that you're interested in getting in front of, that's good. That's great for us. And then just naturally, I think it just ripple effects. So being open to starting at event 1 can lead to event 10, I'd say.
Yeah. Are the artists usually able to, I don't know, like get content of the events or like openly promote that they were at this thing, or is it usually a situation where they have to keep it under wraps?
Yeah, it is usually the latter. A lot of times, I mean, we can't even say the brands that we're booking and that are our clients, which sucks a lot of times, or it's in the contract that the artist can't take photo and video. They can't promote it anywhere. A lot of times it's so locked down that it is very much a private event and no one can promote it. And we don't even have the rights to say the name of the brand that we're working with. So that has made it really hard to get content, especially that live content that we want to promote these artists for other events. That's totally been a challenge because they'll pay more for it, but then nobody can even talk about it, mention it, say the brand, use the logo, use the name. Yeah, it's usually that way.
Okay, I guess I could see that. Like, I guess if I was like Coke, I wouldn't want some random, not random, but I wouldn't want an artist going and throwing a video up with the Coke logo on it.
When the company doesn't need the money, because a lot of times you might think, well, I'll pay less and then let them do something like that.
Yeah.
But if I don't need that money, like we even had a brand where they just use us in their platform.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you know, so it's interesting. I mean, it's such a different dynamic versus the rest of the industry that's trying to save every little dollar, right?
Yes.
Which brings different types of negotiating room. Whereas, like, no, we're paying for convenience, privacy, and ease.
Exactly.
Yes, that's it. Those are the words. You got it. That's honestly what it is. And sometimes it's a more public facing event, or like we've done events for cities and it's like a city festival, or it's not like a private company. So it can vary. It's not always locked down, but it will depend. But the majority of the time, if it is an internal company event, you won't be able to promote it, unfortunately.
Would you ever allow individuals to book if their budget was big enough?
Oh yeah. We so I won't say his name, but just to give you an idea, he's this awesome guy in Maine, and he just has the budget to book for his own birthday party. And so we booked for him Benny the Butcher and Conway the Machine this past time. And the time before that, he booked Slim Thug, Lil Kiki, and Paul Wall. So he just brings them and has a party, and we oversee that for him. So absolutely, you can be an individual and book awesome entertainment for your event, or we've booked weddings, we've booked social events. So You don't have to be a corporate enterprise to book with us.
That's dope. That's dope. Are you on the other side? Do you see maybe 5 years down the road, you guys would also expand into other types of entertainers other than artists?
Yeah. So even during COVID, we started expanding our offerings outside of just music. So we do book keynote speakers, comedy, activations. We do book anything under the entertainment umbrella. It could be a lot of different things. Because a lot of people are looking for things that are more interactive too, something that they can be a part of. It's not just I'm watching a performance. So we have started to book things outside of music now, and I could see us even growing further than that and booking influencers or authors, people in sports, to just make appearances. That's kind of a different route, but it would be a pretty easy way to plug and play, I think.
Before I get to my final question, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you feel like everybody would get a lot of value out of that we should go into?
You guys have been asking great ones. I mean, I think you've really covered it. And I do think some of the main thing is just like, if I haven't done this before, can I? Is it worth it? What is it like? And that's what we really want to break down for people. So I appreciate all the questions you guys have been asking.
One thing I just thought of that I think is helpful if someone is interested in starting to get these type of bookings or even just learn more is work. Certainly you can join EVA. We'd be happy to have you, but you can start to learn about these types of events that are happening with your city's convention bureau. So every city has a convention bureau. I live in Austin, so we have a Visit Austin. There's Visit Nashville, Visit New York, Choose Chicago. Every city has one of these that basically tries to get tourism and wants to get people to come visit that city and spend money. So when big companies are traveling and having conferences or going to have their company retreat in a city, those bureaus are trying to attract the company and come to Austin, have it here, wining and dining them to try and show them why they should come do that big event in that city. Once the city has won the business, then different event planning companies or destination management companies compete for the business to then plan those events. But basically, the convention bureau is so plugged into who is coming to that city to have events. And they have networking events, they have memberships you can be a part of. That's just a really good group to be involved with if you're wanting to start to learn about who's coming to my city to have an event and how could I get booked for it.
Man, that's a great tip. Really appreciate that. They're gonna
It's
love
like
that.
a hidden world that we didn't even know existed just from being on the music side. We're like, what is all of this? Like, and how far out it'll go. Like, oh, Amazon having their 100,000 person sales retreat. They're booking that 6 years in advance because it's going to take over a city. So something of that size, like they are planning it really far in advance, and you can kind of get plugged in if you know the right people.
Oh yeah, it's an entirely different world.
Yes, that just made me think of one more that we've been seeing work really well is if you have the opportunity to submit yourself for performing at a corporate event, we've been seeing entertainers do like a really fast, just custom 30-second video to that client of like, this is why I would love to play at your event. It is going so far. Like that 30 seconds it took, it's able to show like real-time personality, shows that you care, that you understand this company, you know what they do. So I would highly recommend that if you ever get the opportunity to submit for a corporate engagement, maybe consider doing that and sending that along.
Nice. So some salesmanship.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay, so my final question is, where does the name EVA come from?
EVA stands for Events, Venues, Artists. And when we get started, we knew we wanted to pick a human name because we were automating a process that's always been done manually. We wanted to personify the business, and Training are both female founders, so we will like female names. And EVA, so needed to be a girl's name, wanted it to stand for something, and it just seemed kind of short, sweet, clean. We like the movie WALL-E, the little robot EVA. That was just seemed futuristic and cool too. So it kind of just came to us.
That's crazy because it's such a, good acronym, and that's so relevant to y'all: events, venues, artists. But then the name and everything worked out that way. That's That's dope. Were y'all artists at all yourself at any point in time?
Yeah.
We were, yes. We met. So Mackenzie was a music business major in entrepreneurship. I was a songwriting major. I grew up playing classical violin, but then picked up other instruments to compose. And we were also in a punk rock all girls band for a minute in college called Prenup. So that was really fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, I grew up playing piano and bass guitar.
Nice. Punk rock bands always have the best names.
We felt like that was a good one. If we ever do it again, we'll probably just do like Prenup 2 or something.
Dope. Well, Mackenzie Channing, it's been great to have y'all.
Thank y'all.
Really appreciate y'all sharing so much about the platform and love what y'all are doing. Come back anytime if y'all drop some kind of crazy feature or something like that. But yeah, it's been dope to have y'all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Love being here.
All right, everybody. I'm Brandman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
And this is another episode of No Labels Necessary. We're out.
Peace.
Appreciate you for watching. If you like content like this, you'll love seeing our music marketing strategies that we use as an agency to actually blow up artists to millions and even billions of streams that are available for free at nolabelsnecessary.com. And the cool part about it that's going to really make you love it is we don't have to be all entertaining and add all this fluff just to get some views that we do on YouTube. We get straight to the information. There's play-by-play and courses that give you a breakdown of every step that you should do to get success. And you have the ability to have communication with us. We get on live talks, a lot of cool things for members, and it's free just to hop in. So check it out right now at nolabelsnecessary.com.